So, Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles is going to leave the Buckeyes for the same job at Penn State. And it comes at a surprising time. The announcement comes the day that Ohio State is hosting their celebration for their national championship at the Shoe. And Jim Knowles is nowhere to be found. And then it comes out that, hey, he's leaving. He's going to Penn State. And he's going to make $3 million a year at Penn State to be their defensive coordinator. So the immediate reaction is, what does this mean for Ohio State? What does it mean for Penn State? For Ohio State, I think you have to, one, say, hey, thanks for the memories, bro. Thanks for helping us win a national championship. We didn't do it, accomplish it for 10 years before you got here. And now you get here, you help us win a national title. I think that's kind of like step number one is appreciation. And then secondly, I think you asked the question, and I don't know that the answer to this is yes, is did we do everything to keep Jim Knowles? And I assume that the answer is yes. If Jim Knowles wanted to stay at Ohio State, and the difference between being a $2 million coordinator and a $3 million coordinator, I doubt Ohio State backed out and said, sorry, that's just too much for us. Guy who helped us win a national championship with the best defense in the sport. I doubt I doubt that didn't happen. If Ohio State was given the opportunity to match the contract for Jim Knowles, I have no reason to believe that they didn't or wouldn't be interested in matching that contract. But maybe most importantly, what does it mean for Penn State? Because I think it's really easy to look at this and think, yeah, Penn State's really serious about improving on its finishes in the college football world. Because one, they got to the semifinals and played the team that played the national championship game to a really tight game. And barring a dumbass attack from Drew Aller, who knows where that game goes. Now, I don't think that's a. They would have won the game, but I just think Drew Aller threw the game away for Penn State and they lost. That's what happened. But you can always question and think about what could have been, what might have been, what if in those types of situations. But Penn State, I think by showing we are willing to put $3 million into our defensive coordinator, shows not only to its fan base, but to recruits to the college football world, we are serious about getting back to the top of the college football landscape. Because when you look at who Penn State's two biggest rivals in the Big Ten for Big Ten supremacy are, it's Ohio State and Michigan. What have those two schools done the last 2 years? They've each won the national championship. And meanwhile, Penn State has been left to think about what could have been, what might have been, what if. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't know that defense has been Penn State's bugaboo. I don't know that defense has been the issue that has held them back from winning the national championship. And so I wonder about the what's the right way to say the hubris of James Franklin because I don't defense hasn't been their problem. I don't think they've been in a spot where if only our defense was better, we would have won the national championship. Now they are coming back with some good offensive weapons. Two really good running backs, a quarterback that a lot of people feel like has the tools to be a really great quarterback, but maybe just hasn't put them all together just quite yet. NFL talent evaluators salivate over Drew Aller because he is the prototypical, until about 2012, NFL quarterback, where he's a big, strong, stocky white kid who can throw the ball a country mile. But who gives a damn if he plays football good, can read a defense, can throw the ball outside the numbers, yada yada yada. I think that uh, I think Drew Aller is another in a really long line of guys that are like the wet dream of NFL GMs. Your Jake Locker, Christian Hackenberg, Ryan Mallett types, where they're huge and they can throw the ball with the flick of a wrist 80 yards, but there's more to it than that. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know that Penn State's issue has been defense. I don't know that if you were to sit down and say, all right, If we need to wisely invest $3 million, where are we going to do it? I don't think defensive coordinator would be really high on their list. And so to see them do it, now part of that can just be maybe we don't need to improve in that area, but it sure hurts and damages our chief opponent who's standing in the way of us being dominant in the Big Ten. And you can't discount that. The chances that Ohio State finds a defensive coordinator who is going to be as great and as productive as Jim Knowles isn't super high. That's not to say whoever they hire isn't going to be a really good defensive coordinator, a really good defensive mind, what have you. It's just that Jim Knowles has done a really good job in that job, and not just Ohio State, but before he came to the Buckeyes, before that, he was doing a really great job and had earned all the money that he got. Now, on the flip side of the did Ohio State do everything to keep Jim Knowles? Sometimes it's just not about that. And I think we romanticize that as people sometimes. But hey, listen, if somebody offered to increase your pay by 50% and you need to move a couple hours east, I mean, I realize it's more than that, but if you needed to move a couple of hours east and I'm going to pay you $50 million more, and you are in the field where upward mobility matters to you, and you just feel like you accomplish probably everything you can accomplish in your field, are you going to, at your current job, are you going to say no to that? Probably not. And I think there's an important distinction there because we view college football as romanticized version of this is our team, this is our passion. Why would you want to be anywhere else? You just won a national championship, you make a lot of money. Why would you want to go do anything else? But if you're the type of dude who likes to build things, get to the top, and then go do it again, and somebody's going to pay you $3 million a year to do it, I don't think you can fault Jim Knowles in this situation. If that's what he likes professionally, if that's where he finds fulfillment in his career, which I never lose sight of the fact that like we are talking about that is like these are real people who have real wants, needs, feelings, thoughts, etc. And so for Jim Knowles to say like, "Hey, I've accomplished what I can accomplish at Ohio State. I'm going to go to Penn State." Does that suck for Ohio State fans? Yeah. Like, that's not a fun spot to be in that a guy that just helped you win a national championship is now going to go to one of your chief rivals and try to help them win a national championship, especially after what you just saw him do and accomplish at your program. But I would take some solace in the fact that I don't think Penn State's issue was defense. I think Penn State's issue is and has been offense and especially offensive development. When they've had really good wide receivers, they haven't had good quarterbacks. When they've had good quarterbacks, they haven't had really good wide receivers. They haven't been able to put that all together under James Franklin. And so I would be questioning, like, hey, do we need to spend $3 million on a defensive coordinator? Or would that money be better spent with position coaches, great recruiters, offensive coordinators? But that's kind of James Franklin's dojo a little bit. And so I would start to question and wonder if I was a Penn State fan what the ego or hubris of James Franklin is, how much it impacts my football program, because it's undeniably a good hire for James Franklin that Jim Knowles is going to come run your defense. That's a really good thing for Penn State. But is it enough to get them over the hump? Is that enough to get them over Ohio State and Michigan? I don't think the answer to that question is yes. And so when that's where you are, I don't know that that's the wisest $3 million a year you can spend. But it'll be fun and interesting to watch it all play out. It'll be fun and interesting to see what it does to Ohio State's defense and what it does to Penn State's, because the Nittany Lions have done a really good job of having edge rushers go on and do really good. Micah Parsons, or in college, Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter. They have had good guys on the defensive side of the ball. I think at times offense has been their issue. And I don't know that Jim Knowles does anything to rectify it, but it sure makes their defense probably significantly better right now. Want to know your thoughts if you're a Penn State fan? Let me know your excitement, whether you think it's a good hire or not. If you're an Ohio State fan, drop them in the comments below. How do you feel about losing the defensive coordinator that just helped you win a national championship? Would love to read your thoughts, remarks, comments. Drop them in the box below. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content we're pumping out. If you're listening on a podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. And I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Huddle.